It's another video to be made, folks. You are all certainly welcome back to the channel. My name is Keith from Command the Hoop Celtic. If this is your first time coming across the channel, please press that green and white button below. Sorry, could I rephrase that? A red and white subscribe button below. Comments below, thumbs up would be appreciated. You don't have to do it. I'm not begging for thumbs up or likes. This is the way the algorithm works on YouTube. We're going to hear talk about a couple of players that could potentially leave the club in this transfer window. As we all know, it's a January transfer window. Before the window even opened, we brought in 3 players. We brought in Yuki Kurabashi from the J League. We brought another J League player in, Tomogi Iwata, and we also bring in, the Canadian Moose, as you want to call him, Alistair Johnston. And I have to say, I've been impressed with Alistair Johnston. He's the only one we got to see so far. Karabashi, we'll hopefully see him the weekend against Killy. We'll hopefully see him as well, Iwate, the weekend against Killy. Hopefully, see what happens. That's why I said I put the Japanese jersey on, Look good in blue and white the odd time, I know it's not people's ideal colour for a Celtic channel, but you know what I mean. 6 players that are Japanese, so why not support the cause? Let's talk about Josip Juranovic. Now, Juranovic, my head is like at the stage where do I have to ring the doctors, get prescribed some serious painkillers, because I'm sick of talking about him. I'm sick of talking about him on Facebook. I'm sick of talking about looking at these headlines about him. When is he going to fucking go? And how much are we going to get from him? Simple as that. What's what we want to know. Are we going to get 15 million? Are we going to get 25 million? Are we going to get this 7 million that Monza keeps shouting on about from? Honestly, if we let him go on loan and they buy him for 7 million, I think it's absolutely madness. It's criminal, to be honest, to let him go for that price. I've said these words already on the channel many times. I don't want to sound like a parrot repeating myself, but there's fresh reports that Jose Mourinho and Roma, which they're not doing good this season, they're off the Europa League spots at the moment. They're looking to bring Juranovic in. Now, let's talk Roma. If you want to wheel him to the Stadio Olimpico, let's talk. Let's give us some decent money. If you're going to offer double the amount that Monza are offering, 15 million, as much as I've been going on about 25 million for the last 2 or 3 weeks, I'll fucking take it. I'll just take it, because if his heart is not at Celtic and his ego's too big because he's a World Cup bronze medalist and he doesn't want to be there anymore, let him fucking go. Let him go. Alistair Johnston will do a job. We have Ralston there that'll do a job. And we want people that want to play for the short. Yes, Juranovic has a lot of trades and he has a lot of pros and he has a few cons. Someone said to me today, he didn't look interested when he played against them at Ibrox, maybe because he was out of position. I think that's a load of bullshit in my eyes, because he played left back last season about 12 times and he done a decent job there left back. So Juranovic, if you want to go, my friend, go. Get us a decent fee. And you know what, we'll be happy with that. I'm sure Lega Warsaw will probably get a chunk of the fee as well. This is a guy who bought for 2.5 million. We should be selling him for at least 6 or 7 times the amount that we bought him for. Especially being a World Cup semi-finalist and a Champions League player as well, and winning a title with Celtic and winning a League Cup in there as well. It all adds to the CV. Regards to Giakoumakis, look, we all love the big Greek. He's a machine. But I think he's come to the stage where, does he want to be planned? Does he want to be, option B off the bench? Start of the season last year, obviously didn't really play well. He was injured, came in, missed that penalty against Livingston. Second half of the season, he kicked on, and he was an absolute machine. Giakoumakis, I'd be sad if he leaves. I've said this many times on the channel, but there is reports that a club in Japan, the J League, Urara, Red Diamonds want them. Now, there's talks of 6.5 million being thrown on the table. There's talks of Sampdoria, Fiorentina, and a couple of unnamed clubs as well in the mix. From 6 clubs are looking at Giakoumakis. He's a man in demand, and I don't blame him, because tall, physical, wins a lot of fouls. In my eyes, I think he's a better finisher than Kyogo. I think he has all the attributes as a proper out-and-out striker. Look, Kyogo's a cracking player. He's 16 goals this season. Yes, he's been absolute class. He's not the Kyogo he was last season. I just think there's something missing there. I keep saying this, but look, he's scoring goals. We're top of the league, 9 points. He keeps people like me shut as well at times. I'd like to keep Giakoumakis if we can. He has a deal till May 2026, but if the money's right and his heart's not in it, and he feels like he's not getting the best, he's not getting this regular first team football and starting games, let the man go. Simple as that. Let him go. Doesn't have any loyalty to Celtic. If we're getting the right money from whatever club's in, if it's J League, it's Serie A, or if it's the French League or it's the MLS, let the man go. He's helped us win a title, and that's the most important thing. And we're in good position at the moment, healthy position in the league as well. And his attributes at the start of the season helped that as well. So see what happens regards to him. Steven Welsh. Steven Welsh is in his early 20s. He has 2 years left in his current deal at the moment. Celtic and Sky Sports, basically Sky Sports broke the news yesterday that Celtic are willing to listen to offers for Steven Welsh. Now Steven Welsh, we knocked back 2 bids last year from Serie A teams, Hellas Verona and Udinese for Steven Welsh. Reportedly at the time was 2.5 million. Is he going to get ahead of Carter Vickers, Starfelt, Karabashi, Iwata can play centre back, and Jens? Definitely not. I think it's time Stevie goes somewhere. If it's a permanent move to improve him as a footballer, he came through the youth system. Let him go. Let him go. He's done his service at Celtic, and Ange is a big fan of him. Ange likes his work rate, likes the way he's always willing to try and improve, and that's a great thing to see around Lennox now, that he enjoying the philosophy of football. But if he's not getting first team football, you're gonna move. And there's been reports that MLS clubs are looking at him. A couple of clubs down south are looking at him. Not big clubs, like big clubs. But if he goes, I wish him the very best. I've talked about James McCarthy on the channel. There's nothing yet in concrete. No links. No one interested in taking him on loan. No one willing to take him back down south or MLS or somewhere else, because he's on another deal. He's 3 years left in his deal, and I think it was criminal that we gave him a long-term deal. That was down to poor executive decisions from the club. And look at James McCarthy, he's 32 years of age, and what has he to offer for Celtic to come off the bench? There's players in that position that could be ahead of him. So let's see what happens with James McCarthy. Oliver Albegaard, a bit of a strange one. He's on a season-long move at the moment. There's been talks of Albergo looking to take him back. His parent club is Rubin Kazan, but obviously with FIFA and UEFA regulations of the Ukrainian war, transfers is a bit of a shithouse at the moment. Albegaard has only played 64 minutes of competitive football for Celtic. 164 minutes to be precise. Is he going to stay at Celtic? There was a lot of reports 2 or 3 weeks ago that we're going to terminate the contract in January, and none has happened. He's been featured on the bench. He hasn't came on, and it's a bit of a shithouse, to be honest with you, at the moment with Albegaard. So see with him. Regards to Rocca Vate, a guy that I've been praising on the channel in recent times, came off the bench at Easter Road, youngest Irish player to feature in the Scottish League, and there's been reports that West Ham and Crystal Palace are looking at the youngster. He's 17 years of age. Are Celtic going to let this be another Ben Doak? Because if you let him be another Ben Doak and let him go, it will be a tragedy. What's the chances of our youth players coming through and making the squad if we're going to let these players go and progress in leagues like the Premier League? We've seen him with Ben Doak getting on for Liverpool against Villa a couple of weeks ago. Yes, it's good for Scottish players for like Ben Doak, but like Vata is an Irish international. I want to see him playing at Celtic and getting in there in his stamp. Look at left wing position, he can play attacking mid, he can play front as well the odd time. With Mikey Johnson in Portugal on loan, is he going to come back and make a stance? Ange's a fan of Mikey Johnson. He just wants his culture, learn better style of football. He wants to be see him playing regular football. I think Mikey Johnson might have a future at the club, as much as I've been one of his biggest doubters over recent times. Vate better stay. Celtic better give him a good professional contract with a decent salary to keep him on the books for the next 3 to 4 years at least. I see good potential there, and I'm sure whoever watches the B games will see it as well. I don't watch the B games, folks. I don't have the time to be watching B games. Unfortunately, I don't. And sorry for Debbie Downer he is. I just don't. 9 to 5 is more important. So, see what happens to him. Ideguchi, none. Absolutely nothing going on at the moment. There's no Gamba Osaka in for him for a return. There's no other J League interest. There's nothing going on with Ideguchi. Ideguchi will probably leave Celtic this summer at this rate. If there's no interest at the moment, the J League is about to start up in the next 7 weeks, and there's been no fresh approach for Ideguchi at the moment. And it's a tragedy because he didn't really get first team football with Celtic because his injuries and other players that aren't season he is better than him. So it's a shame about Yusuke Ideguchi. And plus with Awata coming in, it just puts him down the pecking order. But, you know, if you're putting the shift in and you're fighting for your place, it's what Aaron sees behind the scenes, which is more important. So yeah, that's really it. Regards to the keepers, feck all activity going on between Conor Hazard. He's been off the radar since the last 3 to 4 weeks since he came back from Helsinki. Although if Helsinki are going to put a move in for him, nothing going on. Barkas is still on loan at Utrecht. His contract's up in the summer. Celtic might activate a year clause and he might come back. So I don't really know what happens with Barkas because we have Joe Hart and Benjamin Seacrest and Scott Bain there. So Barkas has played well in the Eredivisie, but is he going to get ahead of Joe Hart? I don't think Ange fancies Barkley. So that's really it for me. Nothing else to report, folks. It's just all talk. It's just all opinion. Your opinions are the most important. That matters in the comments below. And if you could subscribe to the channel, if you haven't, would be really appreciated. So I'm off to do a podcast. I'll speak to you all soon. Hail, hail. Thank you for the support. These are all legends.